Hello, everyone. I'm going to let you all join and give you the opportunity to join and to set up everything for yourself. You can see that people are coming in. We're going to go ahead very soon with the webinar. Great to see you all. See that people are still joining. Wonderful. So I would like to welcome you all to today's very collaborative online seminar together with the European Training Foundation and the World Association of Public Employment Service on the very important topic of supporting youth transition to work, where we will explore today effective active labor market policies for youth, while discovering also very much here the two best practices and examples from our members of Moldova and Macedonia. I would like to introduce shortly myself. My name is Nicole Clovis, and I have the pleasure of being your moderator today. I've been seconded from the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, which is the German Public Employment Service, and I'm seconded to the WAPES Secretariat. So the seminar today will last around 1 hour, and we will conduct it in Russian and English today. But if you would like to choose the little globe below for your interpretation choices, since we have interpretation into English, Spanish, French, and Russian. So you can see the little globe. If you minimize the window, so then you click on more, and then you can see that there's a globe to choose your preferred language. We will also record this webinar today, and it will be available afterwards on our WAPES YouTube TV YouTube channel. And also, I want to raise awareness that all the presentations today might not always be displayed in your preferred language, but there is also a button. If you click on more, or maybe you can see it already down in the Zoom window, there is a resources button, and we have uploaded all the presentations in the language that are also interpreted today. So please go ahead and download them. We will also send them in the chat during the presentation, so that you have the opportunity to upload them from there, but they're also there. And there's also a couple of links for our next webinars that you can also already see in on the resources. You can also see that you're all muted by default. However, if you want to ask some questions to our presenters today, you can put them in the chat, and we hopefully will have a short or a little question and answer session in the end. We'll be able to answer the questions. So we have lots of great speakers here today who will be talking about their country examples and will also give us some data insight. First, we have Mrs. Christina Mereuter here, who serves currently as the head of unit at Interim of Skills and Jobs Knowledge Hub and is a senior human capital development expert at the European Training Foundation. Secondly, we have Mrs. Raisa Dugaru, who is the director of the National Employment Agency of the Republic of Moldova. And third, we have Mr. Goran Petkovski, who is head of unit for European integration and projects at the Employment Service Agency of the Republic of North Macedonia. But before we start, I would like to give the word to my colleague, Mrs. Amandine Monia, who is the secretary of WAPES, for some introduction words. Please, Amandine.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Good morning, everyone. I will be quick because I think everyone would like to hear more about the youth, young people, active labor market, and all our splendid speakers. But thank you very much for being here. And WAPES, the World Association of Public Employment Services, is very happy to co-host this first webinar together with the European Training Foundation, the agency of the European Union in charge with human capital development policies in the neighboring region of the European Union. So, Christina, thank you very much for being present and agreeing to do that. Thank you also to Eva and all the team for arranging that, and all our speakers. And as Nicole said, this webinar will focus on exploring effective active labor market policies for youth. So with no further ado, please welcome Christina Mereuter, that will give more explanation and insight about this very interesting topic. And then we will go deeper on to the 2 case study with our speaker. So thank you again to everyone and have a good webinar.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for the whole audience. We know that we have colleagues from various regions and countries around the globe. Thank you very much, Amandine and Nicole, for the opportunity to share and to co-host this webinar. Indeed, today we look at the transition of young people, be it from school to work or from unemployment or inactivity to work. We as an agency working for countries in development, transition phase, and also dealing with significant demographic challenges, we are particularly interested in how education, training, but also the labor market institutions are able to support young people during these very sensitive and very difficult transition phases towards the first employment, first job, for first apprenticeship experience, and so on. I want also to thank, and I'm really grateful to Mr. Garo and also Mr. Patkowski for accepting our invitation, our joint invitation to contribute and share the extremely relevant and excellent experience of Republic of Moldova and North Macedonia on this subject. And I hope that colleagues joining us from other countries and other regions will find inspiration from your example. Allow me to quickly share, let's say, a presentation that would set the scene. I hope it works now in presentation mode. So we focus also on the Youth Guarantee, which is a EU rather old initiative already. The Youth Guarantee recommendation has been issued in 2013, so more than 10 years ago, after one of the biggest economic crises in the recent history, the 2008-2010 economic crisis. And it has been also reinforced in 2020. Many of our partner countries, as Amandine mentioned, we are an EU agency. We are a specialized agency of the European Union supporting countries from Southeast Europe, Central Asia, Eastern Europe, Northern Africa, and Middle East, but also beyond. We are trying to share with our countries these EU initiatives and look at potential adaptation and solutions for their own systems and challenges. When we look at transition, we are also trying to frame it in a let's say in a meaningful manner for policymakers, for researchers, but also for practitioners. And of course, the first step is data. It's about having sufficient data on young people, not in employment, education, and training. When I say sufficient, I'm also referring to their profile, level of education, gender, attachment to the labor market, vulnerability, and all the other factors that keep young people away from employment. Then we know, and it's clear, and you'll see also in the next slides, there are long-term consequences of the education attainment, but also the profiles that are being studied in school. There are long-term consequences on the labor market integration of young people. In many countries, even in several EU member states, contextual informations like migration, jobs availability, demographic factors, but also poverty influence the chances of young people to get employed, but also to stay in employment. And finally, there are several context and policy levers that influence this youth transition. As you can see here in this slide, the incidence of young people not in employment, education, and training remains quite high. On the right side, you have the EU 27 average, and then you have several countries in the EU neighboring countries regions with higher levels of NEET incidence and, of course, higher incidence among female young people. Then we always relate, and there are correlations between the level of education, but most importantly, the quality of education, which is measured through PISA by OECD. And there are positive correlation between the level or the incidence of low performers in education with the more difficult transition and employment later in life. And you see here several figures here. There is this discrepancy between OECD average and the average of ETF partner countries, which is quite significant. 46% versus 75% of young people aged 15 who are low performers in key areas, namely literacy, reading, and science. Then overall, as I mentioned, we need to look at the demographic, and we know that many countries are facing aging, high, rapid decrease in workforce availability due to migration or aging, but also other countries are confronted with higher inflows of young people into the labor market. But overall, there is a problem with the low attainment of workforce or population, low education attainment of workforce and the population in general, which has to be addressed because let's say the current and the future labor market, but also the social inclusion elements require people with further support and consolidation of policies that would help young people, and not only, also adults, to acquire new skills and to raise their education attainment level. Overall, what we see in the neighborhood, and I think you can recognize some of these challenges also in your own countries. What we see as patterns when it comes to the profile of young people not in employment, education, and training, particularly after the pandemic, all the research available points out to a growing incidence of inactivity and poverty, a growing risk of mismatches also because of the rapid digitalization of certain sectors and changing demand. Just to look at the latest trade changes and difficulties and so on. There is a particular group that doesn't receive yet sufficient attention, and here we talk about young women aged 25 to 29 that are, because of the family and motherhood obligations and so on, there is a low propensity for job search. Then we also noticed limited opportunities for further training and second chance education. Although the overall education attainment has improved, so overall the education systems are able to cater for children and adolescents and young people for longer years, so we noticed an increase in participation in the upper secondary education and tertiary education. We also noticed at ETF, we noticed an insufficiently future-proof and relevant skills provision. So it's not only about the diploma, it's not only about levels, it's also about the skills and competencies young people acquire during education. I mentioned the Youth Guarantee Initiative. I think many of you are already aware and know what it stands behind. It's a chance to all young people that are job seekers or they are inactive and discouraged. It's a chance for employment, for an apprenticeship or traineeship, or to go back to school and to finish education. From our point of view, I think we say that yes, it's about quality and decent employment opportunities, but it's also about skilling, reskilling, upskilling opportunities and quality assured apprenticeship and traineeships. Here you have several links that would help you to look at how the European Union looks at employment aspects and also skills development aspects for young people. What are the current challenges that we've noticed in the European Union, but also in the countries that we work with? It is important to look at the preventive approach, not to leave young people ending up in jobs, in unemployment or in inactivity. There is an issue, and I'm pretty sure colleagues from Moldova and North Macedonia will look at that with the registration, with the outreach, how to outreach vulnerable young people. For example, we have many remote areas, rural areas, and vulnerable communities that seems to remain outside policy support. And here we need, there is a need for additional resources, human, financial, and so on. What we've noticed in the Youth Guarantee piloting that is taking place now in the Western Balkans again and again, the country's stakeholders recognize the importance of coordination, of working together, and the complexity of comprehensive youth guarantee approaches, because youth need to bring together education, training, and employment providers. Recently, we've noticed also some difficulties in sharing data and information about young people. There are rules regarding data privacy, but also individuals, young people prefer not to share information about their status and so on. So overall, there is an important element of building trust and sound cooperation. I'm not insisting here because I'm pretty sure Goran will get into details on how Youth Guarantee has been piloted and mainstreamed, upscaled in North Macedonia, and the work that is being now done in Western Balkans. And here you see the milestones for constructing a Youth Guarantee approach with all the phases, let's say. Here I also wanted to summarize a bit of some of the preventive related practices, the Youth Guarantee per country, and several countries are mentioned here when it comes to education, early school, managing the risk of dropping out, digitalization and interoperability of social education and employment databases, testing new apprenticeship and traineeship practices, and so on. You have here a few concrete examples. My final plea, and we know that we have discussed a couple of times with several colleagues that are attending today, is that all public employment services would need to look at various policies in an integrated manner, but also to look at services, to look at measures, and also the support. Namely allowances and other benefits. Many young job seekers or people that are inactive, inactive young people out of workforce, they are not eligible for some of these support measures or initiatives. And this has to change if we talk about a fully fledged, let's say, Youth Guarantee approach. For us as ETF, since we are focused on skills, we believe that the ALMPs and public employment service would need to enhance and to reform, to continue to reform their active labor market programs. It's about capacity, but also to diversify the employment and reskilling programs and to adapt them to a new generation of users, yeah. And maybe to also consider these more flexible training pathways and services like the validation of non-formal and informal learning, certification procedures, outreach and career counseling and orientation. And the way you as public employment services work with municipalities and non-governmental organizations and other actors is also important. So there is a need to review the activation packages and to look at those programs that have higher employment probability and show longer retention in employment. Therefore, we are also focused on the effectiveness of active labor market policies. I stop here and I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Christina, for giving us some detailed data on youth education and the social and labor market situation, and also highlighting the importance of the role of public employment services here, which goes to changing the labor market when it comes to working with the new generation of users, as you mentioned. So thank you so much for highlighting this. So please, if you have questions to Christina, you can also put them in the chat, as I mentioned before. So we might have the opportunity to answer them later. If not, then we might have the opportunity to give them to Christina and send them back to you via email in written form. And also would like to highlight that we have a presentation by Ms. Raisa Dugura coming up. She will be presenting now the best practice example on youth guarantee in the Republic of Moldova. She will be speaking and giving her presentation in Russian. However, the presentation will be displayed in English, just to raise awareness that you might switch on the interpretation button if you don't speak any Russian. So thank you so much, Raisa, for being here today and for giving us the presentation on the youth guarantee in the Republic of Moldova. And the floor is yours.
Спасибо, Nicole.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you, Christina, for your invitation to join and to present during this webinar today. The topic is indeed very interesting. The Republic of Moldova right now is on a very important phase towards integration to the European Union, and we consider examples of other countries implementing the youth guarantee. And we also had our path, how to pilot the youth guarantee for one specific category, the Roma NEET youth, the Roma young people not in education, employment, or training. So my presentation will be about it. And just like Nicole said today, yes, I will be speaking in Russian. I thought that I could probably present in English today, but I thought that it's going to be smoother if I present in Russian. However, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them in English. I'll answer in English. So we'll start with the data first. Data on the labor market situation. And please look at the slide. In Moldova, the total population is 2.4 million. We are a rather small country, so the total amount of population is 2.4 million. 22% of the total population is youth. The employment rate is not so high. We have a lot of informal employment, but overall employment rate is at 42.7%. And as you can see, youth employment rate is at 29.8%. Unemployment rate is at 4%. It is relatively low. However, 7.1%. This is the unemployment rate for the youth. And according to the National Bureau of Statistics, we have a large amount of young people not in education, employment, or training, the NEET. The rate is 21.9%. And these are the young people, and they have no intention to join the labor market, to join the labor force due to various challenges that they're facing. Again, if we take the young people from 15 to 34 years of age, the rate is 25.4% of those who are unemployed. And our law defines that the youth, the corridor of age is 15 from 34 technically. So what are the measures that we have taken to combat the situation? First of all, the legal framework. framework. We've invested time and effort into studying the legal framework. We also had a support of the EU for Youth project on how to implement the youth guarantees. We also developed an action plan in order to implement and to pilot the youth guarantees. We also monitored the implementation of this program. Now, the legal framework. The main law is the law number 105. That's the law of our country on the promotion of employment and unemployment insurance. Based on that law, we have a portfolio of services and active measures for employment. This portfolio contains 18 services of such. We have a rather diverse piece of legislation. It addresses job seekers, unemployed, and also the companies providing jobs. Why? Because we also need to educate them, how to motivate them, how to engage into the labor market those who feel isolated, who are feeling not so motivated, or they have challenges. And one of these groups is the Roma population. They have problems entering the work market. At the beginning, we were conscious, we were afraid on how to implement this, because indeed, this is a rather problematic group. Another great assistance is in the law on local public administration. This law establishes the function of mediator in compact or mixed Roma populated localities or communities. When we started working on this problem and when we started engaging people, that's, let's say, what was a guiding document for us. There's also a program for supporting the Roma population for a few years, starting from 2022 to 2025. And this program was approved by the government decision. In addition to it, we also have a framework regulation on the organization of the activities of the community ombudsman. These are the pieces of legislation that enabled us to implement everything envisaged by the EU for Youth project. And in this project, specifically our department implemented the components of this project at the level of the Chisinau municipality. We established a co-management structure in this project. The setup goal was to inform 8,000 of young Roma people about services and measures existing on the labor market, again introduced or implemented by our National Employment Agency of Moldova. So that was a benchmark goal, a goal from the start, and in order to implement that goal, we had to establish coordination and cooperation between multiple stakeholders. That's what we did at the level of the Chisinau, the city. We got together many times, we discussed, we shared comments in order to move forward, in order to generate a common vision and a common ground in order to implement the youth guarantees. The action plan, again, multiple stakeholders joined their efforts within the frameworks of the working group. We all offered our input. We started with a formalized way when we sent out inquiries to various stakeholders, non-governmental organizations, our colleagues. We needed to collect the data about the number of young Roma people and how to engage them, how to cover them with our activities. And again, the data, the statistic, there is a lack, there is a gap on how many, what is the specific number of young Roma. And you know that the data challenge, not all Roma people declare that they are Roma. We had to fill this data in to identify them, and we also signed an agreement on employment. One of our tasks was to set up this partnership in order to integrate the Roma youth more. Needless to say, one of our goals was to implement a number of activities for them. We held a number of seminars, job fairs, community engagement meetings, also meetings for local governance institutions, so that they would engage more and would understand the challenges and the problems of the youth more, and so that they would know the legislation deeper, because not always they would know what is defined by the legislation. And again, the Roma youth, they also didn't know what are the programs that are available and what are the opportunities that exist on the labor market. And one more advantage is that when we implemented this program, we had an amazing opportunity to engage into Skillshare. We had an on-site visit to North Macedonia and Romania. We studied their experience in order to formulate our way forward, in order to learn from them. And we also shared information about what we have done. Again, as an outcome, we now have an established signed agreement on cooperation with local authorities. We held a number of meetings in local communities and the self-governance, local governance institutions, so that they would know that there is that initiative, there is that program, so they would engage and say that, yes, it is great, and so that the Roma youth would know about it and engage. We also had 13 seminars with the Roma youth. We had about more than 200 participants from that specific community, not only young people, but also adults. What is also important to mention is that we organized a workshop with social workers, for social workers. We felt that they know the communities, the local communities, what are the challenges, what are the problems they're facing locally, and also together with mayors of satellite towns. Chisinau is a capital, and we have satellite towns around the capital, including the rural areas. So we got all the mayors of these satellite towns together. They know really well what is the population of Roma living there, what is the amount, and they also supported that initiative, saying that it is indeed very important and that is really great that such programs exist, such initiatives exist in order to integrate the Roma youth into the labor market. You can say that this webinar, this workshop, united social workers and the Roma youth as well. So they heard how we formulate our tasks, what our plans are, that we work for them. And it was important for them to hear that. Not many people we registered as the ones out of jobs. However, we stated clearly our position that we are ready to engage with the NEET people, and they were willing to engage. And obviously now we move forward working with this community. If you were to ask me what are the challenges that we're facing, yes, indeed, we knew from the start, and it was difficult for them, that we have insufficient involvement of partners. And by the way, here on the slides, you see the pictures from the workshops and discussions. They are in remote area, and also here in our Department of National Employment Agency of Moldova, we got together, we shared the written materials, and we invited them, we sat down, we talked to them, we spoke about the goals, and we also told them on how they can engage, searching for jobs, increasing their knowledge, working on their skills, etc. So I hope that we motivated them to treat this issue seriously, or to join a training program, a Skillshare program, and join our initiatives, again, to help them look for jobs. So going back to challenges. First one, insufficient involvement of partners. Nevertheless, it's important that we continue raising the awareness about how important it is, because the quality of services and their continuity, it all depends on it, especially for this community. Another challenge is in low level of education amongst the Roma community. We sometimes need to convince them to hone their skills. Another challenge is that they drop off early from school, lack of minimum general knowledge, lack of experience in making independent decisions. There's also a number of social problems in this category. For example, young Roma women, they never want to join vocational training courses, or they don't work because they have young children to support. Again, that's the mentality of Roma community. They get married rather really young, and then face challenges later on in life because of this. Another challenge is insufficient financial resources for all active measures and in order to involve and engage the young people. And another challenge, last but not the least, is that the employers are rather reluctant to hire Roma people. That is why we need to educate employers as well, and we need to involve the mediators, those who are in charge of the inclusion and involvement of Roma people to the labor markets and education. Basically, that's our experience, that's our practice, and all our colleagues were so motivated to implement this program. That's the experience that we have accumulated so far, and we're keen, we're ready to implement the guarantees, not only for that group, but also for youth in general, because again, the challenge, the problem in our country, we have it and it's big, and we need to do more. Again, that's all. Thank you very much for your attention. Perhaps I took a bit more time, and sorry, again, I speak Russian and I think in English, probably got mixed up. Again, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Raisa. No, the interpretation worked very perfect for me. I hope for the others too. So thank you so much for doing this nice presentation, really focusing on the youth guarantee in Moldova and how you reintegrate Roma needs use into the labor market. You've talked about the measures, partnerships, and really the activities, but I also want to thank you really for talking about the challenges that you faced within your program and their low education levels, many limited resources, and you also talked about lack of motivation for a variety of reasons. So these are challenges that one needs to overcome when it comes to reintegrating youth really into employment and helping them to get back into it. So thank you so much, Raisa. I thought this was very thoughtful and very honest presentation. So with no further ado, we'll have to switch now, go a little bit further to the Republic of North Macedonia. So they will be Mr. Goran Petkovski will be talking about implementing the youth guarantee in North Macedonia and also the challenges that they discovered. I would love to ask you all now. Goran will do his presentation in English, and it will be also displayed in English. However, I will be also putting the presentations into the chat, but you can also find them under more and then under resources if you want to download the full presentation. So please, Goran, I will give the word over to you now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good day, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. It is my pleasure to share the insights on the implementation of Youth Guarantee in North Macedonia. This is a vital policy framework that aims to address the significant challenges that young people face in their transition from education to employment. Okay, so in North Macedonia and in many other countries, youth unemployment has long been a crucial issue. Although the unemployment rates have gradually decreased over the years, we have seen that this decline was unfortunately not due only to the successful interventions. A large proportion was driven by demographic factors, particularly migration of young people seeking better opportunities abroad. And at the same time, we recognize a persistent gap, and that is young people who were most in need of support, those who are in the need category, were not often being reached out by the existing measures that we provide typically in the public employment office. So to effectively address the gap, and it became clear that we need a more targeted and integrated approach, which led to the introduction of the Youth Guarantee in North Macedonia. At the end of 2017, we designed a two-phase approach for implementation of the Youth Guarantee. The first was a pilot project, you may say, implemented in 2018 and 2019, which allowed us to test the program and make necessary adjustment before national-wide rollout. The pilot phase was crucial for introduction of policy reforms and establish partnership with local stakeholders. It focused on mapping disengaged young people and identifying their specific needs while expanding the available services and programs in some of the selected municipalities, because we decided we will test it only on basically 3 municipalities. We choose 3 diverse municipalities, which was Gostivar, Strumica, and Skopje, based on factors such as the capacities of the local employment offices and the number of young people who were registered in these employment offices. And this approach enabled us to test how the Youth Guarantee could be effectively implemented in the regions with various levels of resources, if we can say. By 2019, we extended the program nationwide, focusing specifically on 3 regions with the highest need rates, such as the Polog, the Northeast, and the Southwest regions. These areas was a high concentration of young people in this category, but also the least economic developed regions. So in 2020, we developed the Youth Guarantee implementation plan, which was based on the lessons learned from the piloting phase. This comprehensive plan aim to ensure that all young people 15, 29 receive a quality offer of employment, education, internship within 4 months of leaving formal education or becoming unemployed, meaning they come and register in the public employment office. This plan outlined clear objectives, roles, and responsibilities of the key stakeholders, including government institutions, employers, youth organizations, and so on. I will speak about it a bit later. It also defines the types and services and measures and programs available, such as job placement, vocational training, career counseling, and so on and so on. It's also important to mention that in this period, we had some financial support from EU, from IPA funds, under the EU for Youth program, which focused particularly on again these 3 least developed regions. Within this contract, we set up 4 sets of indicators there. One was the number of young people who will come and register as in the employment office, who are needs. Basically, we wanted to measure the results from the outreach activities. The second indicator was ensuring that certain percentage of needs successfully exit the youth guarantee within the 4 months time frame, meaning they have successfully timed the exit of the youth guarantee. The third indicator was to renovate the local employment offices because they were in horrible conditions, and to make them more welcoming and functioning, basically for young people, and provide specialized training for staff in the underperforming offices to improve the overall effectiveness of the youth guarantee. One of the, hallmarks of the youth guarantee in North Macedonia has been the institutional partnership, the strong partnership formed between the public institution, the private sector representatives, and the youth organization. The partnership has been vital for outreach efforts and the overall success of the program, I would say. The key institutional partners, you can see it on the web, on the presentation. The Ministry of Social Policy, Demography and Youth. Their responsibility is to lead and oversee the Youth Guarantee Implementation Plan. It chairs the Coordinator and Monitoring Committee. It makes adjustment if needed in the Youth Guarantee Implementation Plan, but also they develop the youth policies that improve employability of young people. The Ministry of Economy and Labor creates the laws and policies to support employment services and active labor market programs and measures. Employment Service Agency, basically we play the central role in the youth guarantee from registration to job placement and providing active labor market measures, meaning that our responsibilities include the registering of young people, providing target employment services and active labor market programs, offering follow-up to ensure that young participants are supported through the process. We design also where it's possible for a very difficult task. Christina mentioned it before, for the designing and maintaining the youth guarantee monitoring system and to track the progress outcomes. The Ministry of Education and Science is responsible for accelerating the reforms in the educational system, especially focusing on vocational education and training and focusing on second chance programs. And youth organizations, of course, they play a critical role in conducting the outreach activities for an inactive youth and to raise awareness and to help them register in the youth guarantee in our offices. And I would say that the success of the youth guarantee relies heavily on the effective collaboration of all the stakeholders to ensure that all young people, particularly those at risk of exclusion, are reached and supported. Okay, so since the implementation of the youth guarantee program, we have 130,000 young people have been registered. Out of this, approximately 38% have successfully received an offer of employment, further education or training within the 4 months time frame, meeting the program objectives. I would say that more or less we are on a EU level, the EU average. The outcome demonstrated a positive impact of the program in helping young people transition into the labor market and the further education. However, there are still significant challenges that needs to be addressed. because we've seen in the past as youth guarantee expand, its overall effectiveness tends to decrease, revealing the limitation, I would say, on resources and capacities of the public employment service, but on the other partner organizations as well. These challenges are particularly evident in terms of both human and financial resources, which are crucial for scaling up the program and ensuring sustainability over time. A major hurdle has been the difficulty in securing a stable, long-term funding for the outreach activities as well. While the youth organizations have played a central and vital role for engaging need, this outreach effort has been relied on short-term project-based fundings, unfortunately, rather on consistent investment. And this has made it difficult to maintain continuous outreach and engagement of young people who need it the most. Now that I mentioned the youth organizations and looking ahead, we're working on to expand the role of youth organization, exploring additional services such as employability training, career information, and labor market information. These services will strengthen the outreach effort and provide more, I would say, comprehensive approach to young people, enhancing the overall impact of the youth guarantee. And to further improve the program effectiveness, significant reform must be done in the public employment office as well. Currently, in this Youth Guarantee Implementation Plan 2023-2026, some of these needs are addressed, specifically what I mentioned before in terms of the recruitment of additional staff, specifically career counselors, psychologists, and so on. And additionally, the enhancement of technological infrastructure that will allow more efficient tracking of young people to progress and provide better services overall. Now, I'm trying to skip everything. This is a big subject, so I try to keep it short. So when discussing the broader issues of need, it's essential to recognize the trigger challenges and lessons learned from the integrated approach to their re-engagement. Key triggers often include demographic changes, economic disruptions, mismatch between the educational system and labor market needs, youth migration, technological investment. We have also, Raisa mentioned, the rural-urban divide, all contribute to increase of need. Marginalized groups, particularly those in disadvantaged socioeconomic backgrounds, are disproportionately represented in the category, requiring target and inclusive interventions. So the challenges of the needs are enormous. It's not homogeneous group. So one of the main obstacles, I would say, is the effective outreach of young people, particularly those for these vulnerable categories. Because they are often, as Reza mentioned, not aware or not willing to engage with our traditional supporting system, traditional PES services. So another challenge, and furthermore, tracking and monitoring the progress of the need remain a major issue. This is something that Christina mentioned as well. A comprehensive data system is still developing in our country, but specifically the focus is on connection between the databases of our database and the Ministry of Education and Science that will help us with the early intervention, specifically to detect those, to give us early warning systems. So yeah, I mentioned already strong partnership between the institutions, social partners, and youth organizations is vital for addressing youth unemployment and re-engaging needs. Tailored supports such as career counseling, skill assessment has proven effective in helping young people. So additionally, providing soft skills trainings and also, of course, psychosocial support has been shown to improve outcomes for needs by addressing not just their employment needs, but also their psychological barriers for engagement. Once again, looking forward, with the Youth Guarantee Implementation Plan, we try to integrating digital tools, expanding mentorship programs, and establishing more, how to say, sustainable funding models and strengthening the youth guarantee and similar initiatives as well. So just to conclude, while the youth guarantee in North Macedonia has delivered positive outcomes, there is still much more work to be done. Expanding the program, specifically improving the outreach strategies, and securing sustainable fundings will be essential to ensure that all young people, no young people is left behind. And the ongoing collaboration with the youth organization, the private sector, and the stakeholder remains crucial for reaching these most vulnerable groups of young people. So without taking additional time, thank you for the attention, and I look forward for questions and productive discussion if there is time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Goran, for talking about really the best practice example of North Macedonia and how you implemented the youth guarantee in phases, like you expanded from a pilot project to a national rollout. And I understand that the key success factor here was really including the strong partnership and targeted outreaches. I understood that you had still some challenges in funding and limited capacity also in past staff this goes for many public employment services. But I understand still that you have reached out to over 130,000 youth. And we don't have so much time for questions, but there is an interesting question that I would like to give to you first, Goran, and then to Raiza, because the people in our participants here, they ask themselves also what the most proven strategies, the most effective proven strategies within your countries when it comes to successfully reaching out to youth and increasing their enrollment in youth guarantee measures. So I understood that Raiza has talked a little bit about social workers reach out, but you also talked about limited staff capacity, but maybe there's a little secret to everything that you have been doing when it comes to the youth guarantee implementation. So we would love to hear from both of you a little bit about this. Thank you.
Yeah. So sorry to disappoint you, but there is no one size fits all. This is not homogeneous group, and we have different types of categories of needs and in vulnerable situations. So what we're trying to do now, specifically for the following period, is to even further expand our outreach strategy. Basically, we tried field visit, we tried info points. I saw a question. It was a very good question because for some period, because of COVID, probably we stopped with the job fairs, but we also tried because we know young people use a lot of smartphones, digital tools like social media they use. So basically every tools that you have on use, you need to put it in the disposal in order to reach out to more groups of young people. So yeah, I think we're still, experimenting, still try to find a way of new channels to reach out to young people and to attract them to come and register in the public employment office. And it's not a simple task. And you don't have a simple answer as well, because, for example, if you compare them with, active labor market measures, specifically direct incentives, where you can immediately measure the outcome, here it's a bit more difficult. You need to set up progress indicators to measure the success of the outreach interventions. So it's difficult to measure and difficult. So I would suggest a mix of everything you have available and at your disposal. Yeah, I hope that provides the answer.
Thank you so much, Goran. Please, Raiza.
In our case, our strategy on how to outreach and how to cover the youth, just like you said, the social workers, they are the ones who are aware of the specifics locally, where to find the youth, how to engage with them, and also the mediators. Remember, I said that our legislation also defines, let's say, the mediators. mediators in those communities where Roma communities are living. So they know the mentality, they know the psychology of the Roma community. And these mediators, they help us. They're like an interface between Roma community and us, and they are helping. But we see that the mediators, they should also know more about the legislation, about our initiative, about our programs. So it is crucial that we engage all of us, multiple stakeholders, and then move forward together with this more quality awareness and information. We also have the community associations of Roma. These associations, they're also engaging, and we are in a position to raise the awareness within these associations about the state programs and the measures. Another instrument we're using is that we engage with the youth centers and we ask them, do you work with Roma youth? And at the start, they said, no, they're not engaging with us, and there was a lack. And we thought it was not correct. We thought that we could encourage them more to raise their interest, to sparkle the interest amongst the Roma community. And this is what the inclusion really means. We need to engage all, we need to involve everyone in our country. And I also see that through these centers, through these associations, we can engage more, deliver lectures, deliver trainings, engage into discussions, again, to motivate, to engage everyone so that there is an outcome, a solid outcome for all. And also what we do is that we have mobile teams. They go to the remote, the rural areas, and they raise awareness. Seminars, trainings about services and measures. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raisa, talking about how you really outreach and engage with the young people. Thank you so much. And I would love to give for some concluding words and maybe some good ideas also for you, Christina.
Thank you very much. And seeing the number of questions and reflections in chat, I think it's a good idea maybe to continue the discussion in various formats. And I can only promise from the ETF side that we will continue our support and also discussions, because there is a lot of to learn from each other. Raisa and Goran gave some very concrete hands-on examples how to overcome difficulties, lack of resources or difficulties to outreach certain vulnerable groups and so on. And I'm pretty sure these are relevant for other colleagues. I would like also to thank my colleague Eva Jansova, who has supported the implementation of this joint webinar. And I know that there is another one in autumn. Concluding from our side, yes, young people remain in our scope, but we know that there are also emerging issues with other groups as well. Of course, we have this wonderful example of North Macedonia, but also Moldova, Ukraine, and other countries from the Western Balkan region who were able to design in record time, if I can say like that, youth guarantee implementation plan. And despite difficulties, financial difficulties and the crisis, pandemic and so on, they managed to also implement, and it's really inspiring. So thank you once again, and a good warm regards from Torino, Italy, where ETF is based as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina, for your very nice words. And yeah, well, I would love to have this conversation quite a bit longer, but unfortunately we always have only just 1 hour, and I saw that there is a lot of questions still unanswered in the chat. However, we will be getting back to your questions later in form, so I apologize that we only have this just short 1 hour, but I really hope that you had some moments where you thought, okay, this is really something where I could get into conversation. Please feel free to reach out to European Training Foundation or to WAPES or to our colleagues directly from Moldova and North Macedonia. So please get in contact with us. So yeah, well, like I said, some answers we will be answering later, and I would love to really thank our speakers today, Christina, Raiza, and Goran, and also the whole team of the European Training Foundation, including Eva, for making this really collaborative webinar possible. I would love to thank the interpreters for the excellent work. We had quite a bit of interpretation today, and I think it all worked out very well. I would love to thank you all for participation and your interest in our webinars. As always, some more webinars will be coming up, and Christina has said it already. We are planning another webinar in fall. It will be available very soon on our websites, and I'm also putting some other webinars. I can see that not all the links are working. However, you can find out most of our webinars also on the WAPES webpage. Please register and participate, since we're really living from your participation on the webinars. So I really hope you have enjoyed this online seminar and learned something. Before we leave, I would love to raise awareness that there is a small survey that you can fill out, since we really always try to improve and really live from your ideas at this webinars. So thank you so much to all of you, and I'm wishing you a wonderful day, night, or evening ahead of you, wherever you might be. Thank you.